presentation now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's seminar on the roadmap to open source programs. We know that you've heard of programs like GSOC, Outreach, LFX, and also of buzzwords relating to them, like proposals, contributions, etc. And we know that you have little clear info and lots of doubts. So let us guide you on this journey through a whole new world. We'll tell you all about these programs, share our experiences of actually contesting these programs, and some sweet pro tips for each aspect of these programs and each program. Now, let's go. I'm sure that all of you know about open source, but just to bring us all to the same page so that nobody is left behind, here's a brief info. Open source software is code that is designed to be publicly accessible. Generally, anyone can see, modify, and distribute the code as they want. It's stored in public repositories, and anyone can contribute improvements to the project. Those contributions don't need to be code only. Designers, technical writers, QA testers, every role is important in an open source project. Some examples of popular open source softwares are Git, Python, and Linux. Because these softwares are open source and free for us to use, that's why a lot of developers are able to kickstart their careers without having to worry about paying other people first. Next, let's look at the leading open source programs available to students in India. Now, as you can see, there is a plethora of programs out there. GSOC and Outreach are the most famous ones, but MLH Fellowship and LFX Collab are two lesser known but just as significant open source programs for students. Another logo on screen that you may recognize is Hacktoberfest, but in short, it's just not that big of a deal. Like MLH, GSOC, Outreach, and LFX are major programs that you can put on your resumes and like flaunt off that you have cracked these programs. They are big deals and will impress any reviewer out there. These programs have many similarities and many differences because they have slightly different application processes and slightly different outcomes. They all are involved open source and different roles that people can play in open source, as I said. But we'll discuss all of them individually so that you don't get confused. Now, my friend Aman Pandey will take over and explain one of them in detail.
Um, Hello everyone. I'm Aman Pandey. Thank you, Aditya, for the concept open source. So basically, as Aditya mentioned, there are many open source programs, and I will be explaining about the one of the most well-known and anticipated program of the summer, Google Summer of Code. Well, as you might know, Google Summer of Code is an annual online program conducted by Google to bring new contributors to the open source development side. So, what do I mean by new contributors? Basically, if you don't have any experience in contributing to repositories on GitHub or GitLab, maybe, then this program is for you. You can use your software skills and you can prepare yourself in the resume and stuff using this program. So I will be also informing the application process of this program and sharing some tips and experiences alongside. But yeah, let's go deep into it. So yeah, the first thing the program start with is announcing the organizations. The organizations are basically the software repositories in which propose their projects on which they want to be on which they want the work to be done, and then the students provide their own proposals so that they get selected to this program. Also, the organizations have provide a list of mentors which guide the students throughout the program in the summer. And yeah, the projects can be of varying types. So like initially it was just one type for 3 months, but now since 2022 we have two types of project, medium and large. The medium ones are for 175 hours and the large ones are for 350 hours, both ending in approximately 3 months, but of different time contributions on each day. The stipend is also like there is the stipend is the lucrative part of this program, but it is also based on the project size. Like the like typically given $1,500 in India, and the large one are provided $3,000. Again, the selected students, as this is a like competitive program, so many of the applicants are rejected also, while the selected students code for around 3 months during the month of June to September, and they start their journey with the community bonding period in May, in which they explore the code base of the project, talk with mentor about their future, and just get friendly with them, so that they could be like they could be well versed in the communication terms of this project. Yeah, so I will be explain. So I hope now most of you are excited about GSOC in general. So like as I mentioned earlier, the first step will be to find an organization of your interest. So let's start into like knowing how we should find an organization of our own interest and etc. So the first tip I shall mention is that if you it's a good thing if you know the tech stack related to your project of interest. But even if you don't know, it should not be a barrier, because in per my experience, I did my project in the Julia language, which I did not knew then, but after like some exploration and contributing to that repository, I got to know about that language very well, and yeah, the project went fine. So yeah, that's the first tip, like towards finding an organization. You should be like open to connect with your mentor and discussing the things, and you should be interested in towards your project. That's all. Like you can learn the tech stack earlier if you have later if you have the zeal, but yeah, in general you should be like open to considering all projects. The GSOC format also provides you to propose your own idea. Like one of our seniors have also done earlier. You can propose ideas of your own and talk with mentor about its feasibility. But make sure that you talk about the project's relevance, because the it might be too much for 3 months, or it might be not that relevant to that organization at that moment. Okay. So let's suppose that you have like selected your organization. Now you want to brace yourself with the upcoming challenges of getting selected. Yeah. So that might be a fun journey, but we are here to help you out. So you should start understanding the core base once of the organization you have selected. If you have any specific projects in mind, it will be a great thing if you like contributing towards the project itself, if it is set up from earlier. Else you can do is start understanding the code base, read the community guidelines of the repositories, go through their issues, and as you can see in the slide, I have shown how to find a good first issue. A good first issue is basically the kind of issue a very beginner should be approaching towards. It can be solved with less knowledge of tech stack and some little common sense and a knowledge of raising PRs, etc. So yeah, the base standard approach is like read the community guidelines so that you don't fall through their format. Go through the issues and find the easier ones, and then make a PR and start contributing. One of the questions we were getting in the survey was how much we like contributing towards the GSOC project. So it's not like a hard barrier, but yeah, of course, as if you increase the number of peers, that your contribution will be increasing, and that will be reflected in your like GitHub. But keep in mind that quality peers are greater than the number of peers you are contributing. So and even considering the line number of lines of PR you are giving, still a greater matter.
Yeah, I'd
So
like to add to this is like my project was in a broad organization which like matrix.org, which is so broad that it has separate projects under it and they don't relate with each other that well. And my project was a different repository. I had to start from scratch. So there was not much area to prove that I know the code base because it was an entirely new code base. And there were not that many parts of it relevant to the project. So all I had to do was prove that I was proficient in Python, which was the language I was writing in. And I had to talk with the mentor and explain to him how he can know that I know what the project is about. So I had to prove myself that I know this project and I can do this project. So even if you don't make too many PRs, you just have to prove that you are willing to work and you have the knowledge that that the project requires. You can't just get up and go do the project in 3 months. You will have to prove that you can do this. That is all. So like it's not that important to just keep on spamming the mentor with PRs for good first issue. And also good first issues are not exactly usually, they're not all very easy. They are like they require some knowledge of the project. So you need to study the repo. You can't just go to a good first issue and solve it there itself. You need to study the issue, and like sometimes there will be steps in the issue which show you how to do it, but it's not usually there, and you will have to learn it on your own. It's not Hacktoberfest level easy because this is GSOC, and you'll have to get into the GSOC mindset. That is all.
great, thanks for from Aditya. As you mentioned that the number of PRs is not generally a deciding factor in your selection, but you should focus about the quality of the PR. Like in my case, there was a typing issue. I worked on a stability issue, so it was just a few lines of PR, but it showed them that it was some I knew about the language, and I have discussed work upon that project deeply. So yeah, that's the you should show them how you are going to approach the project and how is your understanding about it, rather than spamming them with PRs. Okay, so that was about PR thing. Also, the apart from PR, one of the most important thing is to directly contact with your mentors and keep on communicating with them. Updates and communications are all done through channels like IRCs, websites like IRC, mailing list of Google's or Slack channel. So make sure to be active on them, and you should keep on approaching your mentor for any possible ideas or any issues you are having with your PR, or maybe proposal which I will speak about next. Yeah. So I will also like to give one tip that helped me a lot. You can, if you have researched on your own and can't find a great issue by yourself, you can ask the mentor to assign you one of the issues by himself, because he has a much broader knowledge of the he or she has a much broader knowledge of the code base. So maybe he or she can provide a better perspective about what issues a beginner should handle, and that will also enhance your communication and show them that you have a zeal for the project. Yeah. So the next part is like proposal. So now you are interested in GSOC. You have contributed a lot, but still you have a great chance of failing if you don't produce a good proposal. GSOC, basically GSOC selects your applications through the past contributions which you have done, and how good your proposal is. So the proposal is nothing but a doc structured format, I will mention in the points ahead. But for now, you should be able to clearly mention the project workflow in the proposal, providing exact details about finishing different section of the work, and your proposal should also show your understanding of what's coming ahead. So you should show that how much you are skilled for that project and how are you using going to use these skills. You should clearly write these points in project. Also, as per Google's rule, you can write 3 proposals, but so you should be asking how many proposals I can write or produce, like in the short frame of time they provide. So I will like recommend that focus on one or maybe two high quality proposal. Don't go exploring. I mean, explore all the different options, but try with one and produce one high quality proposal rather than 2 medium quality proposals, which can get you to the bottom of the selection list. So yeah, that was my suggestion for that. Now the some points for a good proposal are like follow the organization format. Every organization in GSOC has its uh, own proposal format which you should be looking out to and sticking, like because because organizations turn down many proposals because they are not according to their format and taken from somewhere else. Also, mention your earlier contribution to the organizations. Your PR should be clearly written in a tabular or maybe structural format, and you can also mention your other open source contributions in general because they will show that you are not just preparing for GSOC, but you are generally interested in towards open source, and this is a great recommendation for you. And the fourth point is like summarize your take on the project, like summarize how you will like spend time on the project, what possible approaches you could suggest to all the approaches the project. Maybe talk with the mentor and suggest some alternatives to idea. And yeah, that's all. Like provide provide the summary of all of these explorations in one of the sections of the proposal. It will be it should be one of the required things. And lastly, this is the one of the most important things in a proposal: providing a detailed timeline of your work. Uh, like in my case, it might not be followed strictly, but it it is strongly recommended because at least it gives you an idea of what to work upon. It can be changed later, but yeah, sticking to a timeline is very and changing it is better than like having no timeline. So it is highly recommended to provide a timeline in your proposal. The timeline should consist of like week by week division of the all of the works, like whatever work you do or whatever your breaks are having, all should be clearly mentioned in that timeline. And by end of the timeline, you should be like give all of your deliverables, which you should provide in the proposal itself. Yeah. So like these are some points for good proposal. For more about it, you can like search about on the Google Summer of Docs, Google Summer of Code Docs. But yeah, that was some points. We have
Also,
like
and
yeah.
also like usually if you go through, like if you have just one proposal that you are going to submit, if you are very dedicated to one organization and you have like you feel in your heart that this is the one, and you are like making just one proposal, then you can like preemptively write the code required for the proposal. So basically, my code, I already wrote the project code, some of the project code, and displayed it in my proposal, so that I have already done some of the work required for this project. So I can do this. So you can prove yourself, because the mentor needs to know that who is capable, and if you can prove if you are capable by writing some code and showing that, okay, yes, my code is visible, and you can check my code. You can provide a GitHub link to a repo which already hosts some of the code. So, for example, if the project is about making a additional feature, then you like in a mobile app, then you can make the UI for the app and something of that sort, and you can put it in your proposal. You can show that I have written this code. Here are the links. You can go visit my code, and that will prove that you are dedicated and you care for this project and you have the skills necessary. I think Aman also did some of this, and it's usually done by many GSOC, like many people who have cracked GSOC successfully. You can see the proposals. Will share the links at the end of the slides, and many of those proposals already have the code that is required for the project before even the project is started. So they include it in the proposal itself, so that the mentor knows that yeah, this guy is like, yeah, he can do it.
Yeah, that was a great tip by Aditya. I also followed some part of it. Like I had some code prepared earlier by application. So yeah, that greatly show your dedication towards your project, and mentor will be highly regarding towards it. Yeah. So we have a provide, as Aditya mentioned, we have provided a link to some most of the accepted proposals of IIT Ajanta in the last slide. You can go check out that after this presentation ends, and use them as your reference to prepare your own proposal. Okay, so that was all for GSOC. We will be moving out to our next program in the list. It is and I will like to I will like to ask Anushka to present on it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Aman. Hi, everyone. So, Outreach is provides internship opportunities to people impacted by underrepresentation in the technical industry where they're living. So, basically, 92% of the Outreach applicants are like interns are women. But if you do have good convincing powers, then you can go ahead and apply to Outreach and explain in your initial application why you feel like an underrepresented member in the tech industry. Because 64% of people in Outreach interns are also people of color. So yeah, Outreach internships are remote and they run 3 months long. The interns are paid 7,000 US dollars as the total internship stipend. So the application period runs 2 times a year. It has a December internship season and May internship season. But as Indians living in the northern hemisphere, we are only eligible for the May internship season. The applications are accepted from early February for this period. So the application procedure has 3 steps. The initial application period, where you basically have to explain why you are applying to Outreach, why do you think you are an underrepresented like member of the tech industry, and there are 4 essay questions which you have to answer. Then comes the contribution period. Unlike GSOC, you don't have to start contributing before you apply to Outreach. You don't have to make a proposal for Outreach. Everything is listed on the Outreach website. You can go check out the past internship projects on their website, and you'll get a good glance of what happens exactly there. So basically, there are issue trackers which list out opportunities for Outreach applicants where you can solve some issues, or you can maybe suggest some changes, or exactly how a proposal works. But this is a bit different because this contribution period runs 1 month long, and whatever you contribute during this period to your chosen org is what that matters actually. for your final outreach application, where in the final outreach application, you just have to put your final contributions and whatever else your mentor from the selected project might ask you to put in. So I was a past outreach intern with Fedora and improving the Fedora experience. My internship experience was unique because it was a user experience design project amongst the countless programming projects in open source space. But this was my second attempt at outreach because last year when I got selected in the initial application period, I didn't have a lot of options in like as design projects because there were none. So like your best shot at open source is if you are a developer, but if you are a designer, outreachy my opportunities for you. uh, Again, I would repeat what they have told. Similarly to GSOC, you also have to maintain relations with your mentors. Every little detail of your outreach internship is detailed out in the guidelines provided on the website. You just have to like apply for the initial application. Once you get selected, a list of projects will open up for you. You can read all the details. You can connect with mentors. You can go to their mailing list. You can join their IRC channels. The one major thing that helped me during my outreach internship and contribution period was talking continuously with my mentors, with the entire Fedora Docs team, because so as a designer, the first hurdle that I faced in open source was a difference in the tools that we use. So I was aligned on using Figma. I had been using Figma for a long time, but since Figma is a proprietary tool, Fedora didn't use it for their designs, like for making designs for their websites and stuff. But they used a new tool called Penpal. So I had to align myself with that tool. I had to like understand how everything works in open source. So yeah, communicating with your mentors, with the people around, they are very helpful. It helps a lot, and it helps you build a strong connection and communication channel with them, and like it overall helps you to grow. Basically, you are applying for any internship to develop and grow, and communication is one major. The second thing is, if you are a designer and you don't get any good opportunity in outreach, don't get so sad. Like you can apply next year, you can try next to next year. You can see past projects, and you can see there are a few graphic design and a few UI design projects. And if you are a little bit motivated to code, you can combine like a UI design and a web development project together and put out REG final application according to that. Yeah. So yep, that's mostly around it. All the other detailed out information, you can find it thoroughly on the Outreach website. And I have written a blog around outreach, like my contributions around outreach, so you can read that as well if you have any other, like, if you want a thorough, detailed out.
Yeah, we'll share Anushka's blog on her experience at Outreach in the link tree we will provide at the end of the presentation, and yeah, the links will be included there, so you can read that. So next we'll go to some some lesser known programs which are just as important and just as fascinating and unique. We'll go to MLH and LFX. Can you move the slide, please? So MLH is a 12-week long program happening 3 times a year. The three types are the 3 semesters are fall, spring, and summer, which coincide with the academic semesters, and they are planned that way. There are 3 tracks, 3 types of programs under MLH, which is software engineering, site reliability, and Web3 engineering. So as you can see by the names, one is based on normal software development. The other is Web3 development, which is blockchain and such things related to it. And the third one, which is the most unique one, is site reliability, which will teach you how to handle and how to care for a site that is actively on and it has users and will have problems when it's working and such. MLH, the fascinating thing about MLH is that it does like everything happens under one organization and it collaborates with actual real world organizations. Like last year, it collaborated with Solana and Google and Meta and stuff like that. So you will work on real projects which will have real consequences, and the process is very streamlined. So you don't have to like search around docs and stuff, and you don't have to go to different websites and follow different procedures. And you learn a lot of different things. So like site reliability is not something you learn in college or in like your normal development career. If you're working in a startup or something, this is something you need to work at a huge MNC for. So this is something you learn at MLH. The quirks of MLH are it has a long application form. It needs three essays. Essay as in a huge like 250 words paragraph about certain topics. One is about yourself, your relationship to developing and stuff. One is about the project, one of your projects. One is about why do you want to apply to MLH. So you have to embellish your skills and your project and how what you learned and how you grew. This also requires a sample project, which is a project that solves a real world problem that you have worked on yourself, and like you can share to other people. Like they will ask you questions about your project only. They will not ask you random questions like, oh, tell me about this random language that you have never worked in. They'll always ask you questions about what you have worked with, and for this you need to make a project. This project does not like they will not look at it very peacefully if your project is a like mobile app or something of that sort, which like can be very boilerplatey. For example, if you're making a Flutter app, most of the code is already written for you, and you have to only make small pages and stuff. If you're making a Django application, most of the code is written for you, and you have to make small changes. But if you're making a Node application, Express server, or if you're making a Flask server or a website based on like raw JavaScript or a light framework like Svelte or something, not React. React is mostly supported by the library itself. So such a like the guidelines are on the website and in the application form, but you need the project to be your own code instead of like code that is pre-written for you. But if you are facing problems on what to submit as a code project, they have also a MLS prep program in which they help you write a piece of code that you can then submit to the fellowship. The prep program does not have a stipend, but it will help you prepare from scratch. Like if you don't know anything about coding at all, even then you can attend the prep program. You can get a project that you have made on your own that works, that solves a real world problem, and then you can submit it as a sample project to MLH, the fellowship program, and there you can discuss about what it does and what you learned while doing it and how it helps people. And then during your interview, there will be two levels of interview. One is two rounds of interview. First is HR interview, which confirms your enthusiasm and your eligibility for the program. Then the next round will be technical interview about the program, about the project you have submitted. So they will not whiteboard your interview, which is they will not ask you random questions. They'll ask you questions about the project you have submitted. So you can stay like safe. You don't need to study everything. You just need to know about your project. And yeah, so these two rounds are there, and this is a very interview oriented. This is like you have to fill out a long application form. You have to write essays. This is very reminiscent of real world interviews and stuff. So like there will be interviews, there will be questions, and like you'll have to present yourself. You'll have to be on time and everything. So this is a more human oriented approach more than the like just a long proposal, and this is exciting because it provides you new avenues. So mostly like the MLH is different in the way that it's mostly controlled by MLH, the organization itself, which is majorly hacking, and they partner up with programs instead of like just giving the students to random organizations. So there is more control and more systematic approach to this. Next, we'll come to LFX, which also has 3 terms per year, and you can apply to maximum 3 projects in one term. This is developed by the Linux Software Foundation, which promotes sustainability of open source software. Linux, as you know, is the open source operating system. A lot of phones, a lot of PCs, a lot of servers run on, so they know what they're doing. And yeah, So once you go to the LFX site, lfx.linuxfoundation.org, you'll be asked to make a mentee profile. So you have to make a profile, you'll have to submit your resume, you'll have to submit your LinkedIn maybe, and a cover letter. And then you can apply to maximum of 3 projects that are given in a list. So these projects are under different organizations, different types of like coding assignments. Some are about cloud computing, some are about actual like kernel computing, which is like you write assembly code and stuff. Some are about C code, and there are different aspects to this. So it's all very low level, but there can be various projects, interesting projects, if you want to attend them. And once you've chosen a project, you can apply to it, maximum 3 again. You'll have to write a cover letter for it, which is again very much like a real interview. So you'll get experience for writing real cover letters. You'll have to submit your LinkedIn, maintain your LinkedIn properly. You'll have to showcase your skills. So the project will show like we need person who is skilled in Ruby. So you'll have to apply that you are skilled in Ruby. If they don't think you are skilled in Ruby based on your resume and cover letter and LinkedIn, they won't accept you probably. There may this is also very variational with respect to their projects. So if an organization wants, they can ask you to complete a coding challenge on GitHub or give you some assignments which are just like those in GSOC, by the way. GSOC also, some organizations may ask you to complete some small project for them as a proof that you can solve this. And just like GSOC, you'll have to make some contributions to the project before you apply. So like just like we said, some issues, some PRs in GSOC, same here. To get the attention of the organizers, of the mentors, you'll have to make some contributions and add that to your cover letter or resume. Next, these come in 2 varieties. LFX can be full time, which is like 40 hours per week, or part time, 20 hours per week. But if you're choosing part time, you'll have to work twice as long, like 24 weeks. And if you're working full time, you'll only have to work for 12 weeks. So like the number of hours are same. You just have to decide whether you want to work 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week. And yeah, so that's all about these 2. Again, I like to reiterate that these are different from the others in that they are more like the real world, in that you have to give interviews, you'll have to make your resume and stuff. And their projects are also very varied in that they stick out from the other mentorship programs. And yeah, that's all for today. And we'll share it with you, these resources. Here we have enlisted some resources, which are the GSOC guide, past GSOC projects, past MLS fellowship documentation, outreach documentation, and LFX documentation. And especially for IIT Ajanta, we have compiled the list of previous projects of IITR students like me, Aman Pandey, and other students. And we have listed their proposals. So you can clone one of them and use that template, or you can see what they provide, and you can use those templates to build your own proposal and to make sure you make a good impression. If you want any more resources, you can follow us on Instagram, where we'll be posting these resources and this PDF of this presentation. And the QR, if you want to scan that, that will lead you to our link tree, which is a place where we store all our links to all our projects and all our helpful texts and links. So if you go there, you'll see links to this presentation and these contributions and everything. So yeah, now you can use the chat, or I think you can even you can, by the way, yeah, you can use mdgspace.org/chat to talk with us anytime. We'll be there to help you out. Or you can join our Slack, which is again given in our link tree. So join Slack or chat with us on mdgspace.org/chat. And meanwhile, while you guys are getting our questions to us or chatting with us, I'll address some of the questions that we got in the FAQ form. One of them was, which of these open source programs is the best, or which has the highest chances of getting selected? All of these are equally important depending upon your role, and they will all shine as bright on your resume. They are all worth the same points on your resume, points in quotation marks, because there's no such thing. But yeah, higher chances depending upon who you are as a person. So like, if you are very good at writing and contributing and like just not not focusing on the human element, you are very good at writing and solving problems and such, you can do you can attempt GSOC or outreach or such things. And if you are very good at talking about something you made on your own, if you have a lot of projects that you have made, for example, me, I had made like several projects before I even started MLH, applying to MLH, and so I had a lot of projects I wanted to talk about. I could explain that, yeah, I learned this from this project, I learned this from this project, and collaboration and stuff. So I knew about that. So that's why I could apply in MLH and I could write essays about myself and like what I learned and how I started on my development journey and why I wanted to be at MLH. If you want to work on core computing and like you want to understand what computers are really made of and stuff, and like be at the cutting edge of technology when it comes to compilers and stuff and processors and stuff, you can apply to LFX, which works on that. As you can see, the name itself contains like a very complex operating system, which is Linux, and they work on like such stuff. And they worked on distributed computing and certain like crazy ideas, which are like the knife point of technology right now. For outreach is open for development and stuff also, and design stuff also, and there are very number of projects. You'll have to see from year to year, it differs, like what percentage of products are design oriented or developer oriented or technical writer oriented or testing oriented. So you'll need to research those on your own as and when they come. Their links are available in the link tree and in our presentation PDF. Yeah. Does someone else want to take up a question?
Yeah, Aditya, I will like to take up one of the questions asked here. Like, should we make contribution in just one organization, or should we choose like different organization? This wholly depends upon like what your interests are. I would like I will like recommend you to choose 2 to 3 organizations and understand their repository, and always take them under consideration. Like I had also considered Godot Engine as a possible approach, but finally applied to Open Astronomy. So yeah, you could consider 1 or 2, but you should be you should be deciding well in advance what your final organization should be. You should not delay that very much. Approximately 1 month is fine for deciding the organization and start contributing solely towards it for the GSOC program. In general, like you should show open interest toward open source and keep on contributing to different repos you like, and that will be quite helpful towards your resume too. Yeah. Also, one of the tips toward proposals is that I would like to mention that you should be preparing your proposal well in advance. You should get it reviewed from your mentor and other colleagues that you have, so that you get time to change and resubmit it again. Don't wait for the last day to submit your application. That was all.
And the question I'd like to answer, okay, again, the PR versus like contributions are like the most talked about part of GSOC. Like people talk like you have to give, you have to shine in terms of contributions. You have to make a lot of contributions. You can also, by the contributions include not just issues and like pull requests and commits. You can also make issues. You can find errors in the code base and you can point them out, and you can say that, okay, I noticed this, we can fix this, and maybe somebody else will fix it, or you can yourself fix it on your own. And that's also a contribution, and that's an important contribution. Gone through the code base and you've seen that this is a problem and you need to fix this, and you have fixed it for them, so before it caused any problems. So yeah, that is very good. And also, again, like talking to mentor on the Slack, IRC, Matrix, or forums, any like make Slack accounts, make Matrix account, make like be active on IRC and everything, so that you are used to this. Because even during GSOC, you'll be using these items for like these means of communication. So if you have a Slack account right now, then you'll be set up for like you will be used to using Slack, and you'll know how to use it properly, and you won't disturb people. Another thing related to this is like respect time zones. Don't ping your mentor when they are like asleep or something. During business hours only, like you should ping them, and maybe have a clock on your PC, like search that when is it morning or when is it 10 a.m. in whatever place they are in, like Texas or something, and only during that time message them or ping them. Otherwise, you can ping them, but like you can email them or something if you are using that thing. But if it is going to be noisy, if it is going to disturb them, don't do that during like non-office hours.
Also, like contact your mentors as politely as you can, especially for the first approach. Like it will show your sincerity and all. That's important for the communication part.
Yes, yes, of course. Professional behavior, please. They'll you are a student, they are your mentor. You'll have to behave with them as such. You know you will, but just as a reminder.